What is good, people? Hello. Happy Tuesday. It's the most wonderful time of the year. We got raindropping mixers and fucking stems coming Dixer. I don't know. I should have wrote something. That would have been actually pretty sweet. That like come out here with a straight up remix. You know what I mean? Straight up remix. I'm excited, people. There's so much happening. There's just so much happening. Yesterday was a day. It was a day. Did we all see what happened yesterday? Of course you did, okay? But I'm going to give you my 2 cents on the whole thing, all right? Lots to talk about. And then as promised last week, we're also going to do a full music thing as well. We haven't done music in a while. We're going to do music more and more often. Yeah, we got a whole music thing at the end too, so definitely stay for the end for that. But the first and by the way, thank you all, everybody for joining me and whatnot. Appreciate you all. We're gonna roll right into it because my baby's not crying and we got a lot of stuff to cover. Okay, first off, Serato Stems is here. It's out of beta, and it's very cool because this was the biggest beta thing that's ever happened for Serato. They had over 50,000 people test this shit out. 50,000 people, insane. Because stems is a big deal. It's a big deal. It's going to change a lot of things. I was playing around with it. I'm going to be on stems tonight on Twitch for the first time, and I love it. I think it's so cool. Works really, really well, and it opens up so much shit. And it's definitely a big thing. And it really kind of gives me peace of mind, to be honest with you, to know that like 50,000 DJs were trying this bad boy out and like sending in their info and like letting Serato know like what's messing up. You know, it's going to make it a more stable thing. You know, I don't know like what Serato gets on average as far as like a beta, you know, when they're coming out with a new thing, but it definitely ain't 50K. Might be, you know, I think it's significantly less than that. So this might be the most solid new release Serato's ever had because of just the data they got from all these people, you know? And obviously like Caper likes it, right? Very big stuff though. So that's out. We're not going to go over Serato Stems. We all know what that is, okay? They've been, you know, obviously 50,000 of you have tested it out. So that's here. Pumped about it, okay? Switching over to it. The other thing that arrived, as you probably have heard, is the Rain 4. Look at it. Look at it. Now, this was the leak we had, okay? So, clearly, it's the same mixer. Just the color scheme was off. I agree. Like, a lot of people, like, when I dropped this leak, a lot of people were like, wow, that is ugly. And I agree. Like, it's almost like they pieced it together with, like, you know, like they took the top plate off of an old, you know, Rain 62 or some shit and used that for that. And then they, took the 6,000 platters and put them in the, like, you know what I mean? The platters in here, you could see like how the center screens are just like, they're like literally SX2. Like there's nothing special about them. They're literally black and white, like old school ass. I think this was like a demo model that we got a picture of for sure. Cause this is a slightly different, right? Slightly more refined. I think it has a little bit of a better look. Is it still ugly? I don't know. Some people are saying it's hideous. I don't think it's hideous. You know? I don't think it's hideous. I think it's a decent looking controller. You know, it's not that bad. Anyway, so what do we find out? You know, it's a 4-channel, like we said. We figured out what all the little stem things are. We definitely figured all that out. We figured out it's a non-motorized platter. Wow, right? We called that. The 2 things we didn't figure out yet, which is appalling to me, is the price. And the price, and as well, I guess you could say price as well, and the release date, okay? But the price is the biggest thing. I can't believe the only thing I heard, right? Everyone's like TBD, TBD, TBD. Phil from Digital DJ Tips, we're going to use some of his B-roll today, by the way. I pulled off his site, so shout out to Digital DJ Tips, my good buddy Phil, crushing it out there. He's got a Rain 4, so he filmed a great video on it. So definitely check that out. I'll link it below. But he said that he talked to Rain, and Rain said it's definitely going to be below 2,000. So that's the closest to a price I can get. Below 2,000. What does that mean? Below 2,000. Is it 1,500? Like way below 2,000? Or you're just saying below 2,000 it's going to be $1,999, you know? Now, when I was leaking this and when I was talking to people before they made the announcement, everyone was telling me it's going to be $1,900, $2,000. So what we're going to do today is I'm going to give you my pros and cons. Okay. We're going to go over the mixer. Like I'm going to give you like, obviously there's videos out there that, you know, tour the whole thing. I don't have one here, right? Rain's not sending me one anytime soon. So we're looking from afar, but like I did a lot of research and I do have a good list of pros, good list of cons. I think it'll be interesting. We'll go through that. And then we're going to compare this mixer to a couple other mixers and, see if we can come up with, some conclusions here. Okay. It's going to be a whole science experiment. It's going to be a grand old time. And let's get right into this. So we're going to start with the cons. No. We're going to start with the pros. We're going to start with the positives of the Rain 4. All the positives, okay? A lot of cool stuff here. Now, we're going to start with the back of the mixer, right? Look at the ass of this thing. First of all, it's got an IEC connector in it. Hell yeah, just like the Rain 1. That's one thing they get right. My God, why doesn't Pioneer do this? Why doesn't everybody do this? Put an IEC in every damn mixer ever, okay? Doesn't make sense to have your own. It's one of my biggest pet peeves with Pioneer. You have to get their AC adapter. I'm a wedding DJ. I like backup, okay? I want backup of everything. I can't back up a Pioneer AC adapter. How do you even get another one? Good luck. What do I got to find the parts? You know what I mean? Like I go to Pioneer parts department, get the parts number and shit. Like it's not like you could just buy it. Whereas like an IEC, I got 1,500 in my bag, You can always back it up. Something I really wish Pioneer and everybody would do, but whatever. So we got an IEC here. Shouts to Rain for that. 2, not 1, but 2 combo XLR 1/4-inch combo jack mic inputs. Legit. Shouts to Rain for that. Very well done there. Okay. Not only that, but both mics have EQ, right? So you have individual, dedicated EQ, low, high, low, and obviously a volume meter, and a dedicated on-off switch for both mic 1 and mic 2, which is very robust. So that's good. Very, very good. Mic 1 has echo. Mic 2 doesn't have echo. Side note, I wish, in general, they would start putting reverb on a mic. They always have, echo on the mic. I feel like reverb would be more useful. If you've ever, played with your voice with, effects, reverb almost always sounds cooler and more you could do it lightly enough where it's almost wow, he just has a great voice. You can't tell it's enhanced where the echo. Hello. What are you gonna do with that? You know what I mean? So but that's just a side note, no big deal. It also has split Q, as you could see on the side with the headphones. Now, split Q, if you're not familiar, it's a cool little feature. A lot of DJs use it where you take your headphones and the mixer will split the Q. So in one side of the headphone, you're going to have the master out, which is basically whatever's coming out of the speakers. And then the other side of the headphone, you're going to have whatever you have queued up, whatever song. And a lot of DJs like to mix like that. And I think it's good to have. And there it is right there. So shouts to Rain for that. And can we take a look at these feet? Look at these feet. Look at the cutest little feet on it. It's sitting 4 inches off the ground. Holy shit. You can use this thing in a flood. You can hide your homework under it or some shit, And how long, when you got a mixer with feet like this, right? How long until all these DJs start getting the custom Jordans for them, How long? It's a matter of time. DJs are going to be DJs, all right? They're going to match their custom Rain 4 shoes to whatever theme of the event is, right? But it makes it robust, I guess, with the feet. I'm assuming it's very sturdy feet, okay? Very, very sturdy. So they're going to be nice and, nice and on there. You don't have to worry about it shaking and everything when you're cutting. So I like to see it. Now, beyond this stuff, a lot of cool things that I liked looking into it too. First being the versatility is you can dial in a lot of settings. And like I said, I'm going to be using a lot of the digital DJ tips, Phil's B-roll here, so shouts to them. So in the center screen, you can dial in, this is the crossfader setting, so how much bleed the crossfader has, how sharp the cuts can be. You can also go into the microphone settings here. So he's going to switch it with that. So you have crossfader, wheel display. So now you have microphone. So if you go to microphone, you could do your talkover level, how high the talkover is. Talkover hole, which I think is how... Actually, I don't know what talkover hole is. I honestly don't. I thought I knew. I don't know. And then you can actually, with the mics, you can see you can say yes or no whether or not you want to run it through the booth out, whether you want to run it through your headphones or through the laptop, which is really interesting. You can adjust the wheel display, which is just basically all you can do with the wheel display is like the time and then the needle marker. Like you can take that off or whatever. Time remaining, all that stuff. And then what else can he do in here? He's about to do it now. Sure. Oh, and then there's also a factory reset in the center too, which tells me that, and the FX, which tells me that like when you customize this controller, I'm assuming, when you go through and you like customize, what effects you want on what buttons and stuff like that, it's going to save because you have a factory reset where you can, reset all your settings and everything like that, which I really hope that's the case, but we're going to get into all that later. But speaking about effects, look at this. We finally got onboard effects. Biggest problem with the Rain 1. A lot of people, what's the difference? Big difference, okay? And that's why they fixed it. So we got onboard effects, 22 of them in total. A couple of weird ones, right? But I mean, if you got 22 effects, you're going to have some weird ones. You got the Echo, the classic Echo, the Recycler, which kind of just sounds like your computer crashed. The Scale Down. The Scale Down is essentially a duck down. So they may or may not have completely stolen that from Pioneer, but it's a very necessary effect, okay? And if Pioneer don't got the patent on it, then whatever. I would steal it too, so you can't blame them. Riser, which is like a reverse duck down. So like duck down, if you're not, or we should say scale down for this example. The scale down, basically, it pitches the song down and it echoes it out. So womp, 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 womp. A riser does the opposite. Womp, 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 womp. And it goes up, which is interesting. I don't know when I'd use it, but it's interesting. It's different, something. It's something, right? Matrix calls the aliens, and then echo out, I guess, automatically echoes out. And then you can, like, assign them to all the different things. You can, essentially, you have to hold one button down, and then you twist the thing, the left hand's on to assign it, yada, yada, yada. 22 effects in all. Cool stuff. The OLED screens are very, very cool. One of those things that you didn't know you needed until you messed with it, and now you know you need it. It basically tells you what's on the pads, and especially now with stems and everything else, like it's so complicated. Like there's so many things you could do with those pads. You know what I mean? Like it is kind of useful to like literally have the little screens there. You can see what's on what pad. It'll even tell you your Serato cue. Like how you can rename a cue in Serato. So like I'll have a cue. Like give me an example. Or like "Wannabe" by Spice Girls. How's it start? Yo, tell you what you want, right? I'll have the cue at the yo. I'll rename that cue yo. Right? Yo, with like 18 O's. That way I know before I don't even have to listen to it. I don't have to cue it. I don't have to put my headphones on for this. I can just look and be like, all right, that's yo. I'm going to start yo, and I can cut it in, right? Well, when you rename a cue like that, that name will correspond on these little OLED screens, which is very cool, right? And on top of like, when you split them up, because these pads now you could split them up, which is super cool. So you can do like the top 4 pads do just your cues, and then the bottom 4 pads can be your stems, and then this kind of like lets you know like what's on what. So I definitely think it's a great idea. We knew it was coming, right? Because of all the leaks. Music's so great at keeping secrets. We knew it was coming, but I think it's a great idea, and it's definitely something that's necessary. And it's definitely something you're going to see every other DJ or every other manufacturer copy. I'm sure the next other mixers that are coming out are going to have this as well. So they're going to set the tone with that. And it's just cool the way they work. You can see how like he splits them all up. Shouts to Phil again. But they're super quick. They just, I don't know. I like them. They're clear. They're big enough. You could see it pretty well, right? It's very useful. Very useful stuff. Then, as you can see to the right there, you have the individual acapella instrumental buttons, which they're literally dedicated. So you have those on each channel, on each side. So at any moment, blop, you can hit acapella, your song's an acapella. Blop, you can hit instrumental, your song's an instrumental. On the fly, okay? Very necessary buttons with the new stems feature. And it's going to be very useful. And again, something that's going to be on every DJ controller moving forward, I'm sure. So like Rain kind of, if you haven't noticed, Rain jumped at the opportunity, the whole stems thing. They literally made this thing around stems, and it's the first controller so far, first piece of hardware that has all this stuff integrated, and it's just going to make life so easy. I want all this stuff so bad. Very, very cool stuff. I'd love to have these individual buttons. And then probably my favorite feature, definitely my favorite. This is the flagship. This was a great idea by Rain. Great idea by I can't stress it enough. Okay, what a good idea this was. And another thing that I'm sure everybody else is going to steal after this, right? But they did it first. You got to give them the what you call it, and that is stem split. I'm not a 4-channel controller guy. I'm a 2-channel guy. Okay, I'm simple. I can't think of more than 2 things at once. But this makes me want 4 channels. This. Right, like I have an SX2 where I've had 4-channel, 900 stuff. I've had 4-channel mixers, and I've never used 3 or 4. Like it's just they're there. I just like the controller or whatever. Like I've never really. This is such a great idea. Wow, what a great idea they had. So stem split. If you don't know, you basically push the button, and then what it does, it's like instant doubles, right? It takes whatever song you're playing on channel 1, and then it splits it between channel 1 and channel 3, and it splits the acapella and the instrumental up, right? But when you hit it, it automatically syncs. So the songs are synced, right? So basically, like when you bring the volumes up and everything, as long as both volumes are up, the song's going to play regular. If you try and cut it or do anything, manipulate the song in any way, the songs are synced, so they're going to stay together. But then below the stem split button there, you'll see the 2 green buttons. You can isolate the tracks, right? So you can isolate like an acapella or an instrumental. So then you can like actually split them apart and then just take the acapella and just cut the acapella over top the instrumental or vice versa. But then all you do is hit stem split again, and then they sync again, and then they're together again. Bam, bam, bam. And just having those on the up faders, it just opens up so much you could do. You can EQ the different sets. You could do effects on either one, cutting and all that. It's just so much fun rather than just hitting a button and then having to use the same platter. Now you have like on each channel, acapella, instrumental, in a button, in a flash like that. Like it opens up a world of possibilities. It's a fantastic use of a 4-channel controller. I'm very impressed. Very, very good idea. Okay. Very, 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 very good idea by Rain. And it really, like, an idea like that confuses the shit out of me with Rain, because like they have really good ideas like that built in, but then they also have the dumbest shit ever, okay? They have certain little things that they did with this controller that makes me think, like, do they even have DJs working for them? Do they ask any DJ's opinion, Some things are so smart, and then other things are like, why? What? Like, And that brings me to the cons, okay? So we're going to talk about the cons. And I don't want to be negative, but I'm going to be negative, because there's a couple cons here we need to know about, okay? First being, well, I mean, look at it. It's a non-motorized platter, and it's got the stupid dots. Why? I couldn't believe it. For the longest time, I thought maybe it's going to be this cool little hybrid. It can't be non-motorized, or it is motorized. It's a hybrid. Somehow it's a hybrid. Because why would they put those dots on it, okay? Those are called stroboscopic dots. The stroboscopic dots are put on turntables. When you pitch down or pitch up a turntable, it changes the speed of the rotation of the platter, right? And when it changes that speed, each dot corresponds with how much you put up the pitch fader or lower the pitch fader. So back in the day when they couldn't really tell how fast or slow they were speeding up the song, they would use those dots. When one dot became steady, they knew they were plus 7.5%. Or you know what I mean? That's why you use those dots. Now, you can also say like those dots are literally useless on the Rain 12 or the Rev 7 or any other like moving platter that like has a digital pitch. Whereas like if you go on a Rev 7 and you pitch a song down 8%, it's not going to slow the platter. It's going to like digitally pitch it down 8% on the laptop, right? Like on the computer. It's not going to slow the platter. So you could say, yeah, like the dots don't matter for those either. But like at least it's a moving platter, And then like the dots can also like, give you a little friction. So if you're slowing down the song or whatever, with a moving platter, it kind of makes sense. There's no rhyme or reason why you would ever put those dots on a non-motorized platter, especially in a flagship super pro, super like this is supposed to be a cream of the crop controller, okay? This isn't no little bullshit American Audio, whatever, or like little like entry level trying to make it look cool, kind of thing. Like here's a $500 controller, but you're gonna look cool with it. Like no, this is flagship type stuff. This is supposed to be like the best controller Rain has ever came out with. The best. They also claim that these are the best and most responsive platters ever in a DJ controller. Best in class, right? So these are supposed to be number one non-moving platters. They're supposed to shit on every other non-moving platter on a controller, apparently. But you got those stupid stroboscopic dots that aren't necessary. Bothers me. Makes it look very gimmicky to me. Okay? Whatever. Maybe I'm nitpicking, but there's lots of other stuff too. Let's talk about the screen in the middle. Okay? The screen's kind of trash in my opinion. I'll tell you why. It's the same kind of screen. It's, again, I'm also basing a lot of this on, I'm assuming this is going to be $1,900, $2,000. Now, if Rane ends up coming out and it's like $1,600, then they're going to be able to get away with a lot of these cons, okay? But if they come out and it's $1,900, $2,000, they're screwed, in my opinion. They really cheaped out. These screens, they had an opportunity to make such a cool screen in the center, at least match the Rev 7 screens, right? Rev 7 screens are longer, and then you can change the wavelength on it. You can, like when I use Serato, I have the vertical wavelengths. You can do that on the Rev 7 screen. So you can just look down at the screen and use that to cut. This is the only thing it does. What you see right here on the screen is what it does. The only thing you can change is you can take away the marker, so that little white mark where it shows you like where the record's at. You could take that away if you don't want it. And then I think you can change like the time, like how the time sets up, like that, like the time and the BPM, like where all that is. Like you can like adjust that slightly, but that's it. The whole, like the wavelength, like the waveform, it just tells you where you're at in the song. That's all it does. There's no other option for it. Whereas the Rev 7, you could put album covers on that bitch. You could put your logo on it, or you can use it. You can have utility with it with like actual close-up waveform so you can see what you're cutting. Why wouldn't they do this on a flagship Rane controller? Why? Why? Especially if you're going to end up charging $1,900, $2,000. And this is one of the many reasons why I think that they took a step back and they're kind of like realizing what they did. And they're like, oh, we're not going to announce the price right now. We're kind of figuring it out. They're still doing market research on this, which is insane. Name the last time a company released a product, said, hey, we're coming out with this, but did so without a price. Without a price, which they're just still doing market research. They don't know what to charge for this thing because they know where they skimped out. You know what I mean? You gotta, if you're gonna charge a certain amount, you gotta be able to like crush other shit, you know? And this is just as good as the SRT 1000 screens. It's the same. There's nothing different about them. And the SRT 1000 came out years ago, you know? So big disappointment with that. And then another thing that cracked me up, the effects, right? They finally put the onboard effects. Where's the reverb? There's not a stock reverb on there. There's two main effects. I get it, 22 effects, and you got all these cool things, and you can get creative with some different new effects, and I'm all, that's cool, whatever, right? We all got the, the weird effects and all. But there's two main effects DJs use, okay? There's two. There's only two, all right? Beyond that, you can get creative, but there's two. Two staples. And the two staples are echo and reverb. Where is reverb? Where is it? I know, Nick, you could just assign it. You You just hold down the recycler button, right? Because you don't, I don't need the recycler. I don't want my, my mix to sound like my laptop crashed. So we're gonna take out recycle and we're gonna assign reverb. And then I think there's memory, so it'll stay there forever. So you just got to remember in the back of your head that recycler's reverb. But why not put reverb as one of the main things? One of the things that we're like, I'm surprised. Another aspect of this mixer where I'm surprised, like, do they talk to DJs? Like, you know what I mean? You know what's even more ironic is on their website. This is literally a screenshot off their website, right? If you go on their website and go to the Rane 4 or whatever, like Rane.com, literally has this, and it says, new internal FX suite with dynamic control options. The Rane 4 features a powerful, dedicated internal FX engine with 22 main effects, including tried and true classics like reverb and echo. They literally put reverb first. First! They put it first. Like tried and true classics like reverb and echo. They literally put on the website. But then right below there, this is literally a screenshot of the website. That's where I got the picture from, right? Right below there, you could see the effects and reverb's not even there. You have to reassign it. So on the website, in their marketing, they're going to call the effects like reverb and echo, like point out that they're tried and true and that's what every DJ uses. But then they're not going to include it in the stock effects. You have to actually assign that. Do DJs work on this? Do they take any DJ's advice? All right, if you're a DJ and you work for Rane, like, am I right? Am I wrong? Like, let me know in the comments. Do they ask anybody's opinion? Why would they ever not? It makes me think that there's just a bunch of nerds back in a room somewhere making these fucking things. They're not listening to any DJs whatsoever. They don't DJ in real life. Because why else? Why would you put recycler where reverb would be? Some nerd in the back room made that decision.
Oh, I think recycler will be really cool. It'll sound like your song skipping and you blue screened your Windows laptop. It'll be awesome. Who needs reverb?
Like, you know what I mean? That's what that tells me. That's literally what that tells me. Another thing drives me nuts. Look at the screen, the little effect screen. Ain't it adorable? Why is it so small? I can't see what's on it. Maybe the screen's not that big, but like maybe the screen's like a decent size. Maybe it's just like they could fix it with like a hardware update. You know what I mean? Like because I think the way they compose the screen is a miss. See, when he moves his hand, see all the little text. I don't know about you. I have pretty good vision. I don't wear glasses, but like I have a hard time seeing that on the actual like TV screen. Maybe in person it's huge. I don't know. But like it's literally barely bigger than Phil's finger there. And like you could see like what the effect is, like kind of small in the middle, but that's the biggest text. And then on the side you can see the parameters and everything. You know, like it's like really small. It's hard to see. So I feel like they should have put a bigger screen there. You know what I mean? We're going to compare it with other mixers and stuff in a second. But like I feel like they should have put a bigger screen there. It looks small to me. It just looks small to me. Tough to read. Especially because another thing, I kind of should have put it in the pros, another thing you can do with this mixer, which is really cool, is you can dial in very specific things with each effect. Like it's not just like an echo and that's it. You can dial in very, very specific parameters. You can change it from like a minor to a major to like there's all these little cool things you could do. So it's such a robust like internal effects system. Why wouldn't you put a big ass screen there so you can more easily navigate through all of it? Because otherwise the smaller screen makes it more complicated. It makes it more complicated to dial those things in, especially on the fly. Very, very big miss. Another thing that like if you were a working DJ, why wouldn't you look at the prototype and be like, yo, that screen's way too small. I can barely see that. And like, you know, there's hella like you got to admit like controllers like this, there's a lot of middle-aged, you know, like like midlife crisis DJs buying this bitch. You know, that they can't see. Don't you lose your vision after like 40, 45? Like I can see perfect and I think that's too small. So imagine if like you have, you know, tough vision. Big miss in my opinion. Big miss. And lastly, overall, it's still a little crooked. Not as much as the Rain 1, but it's still a little crooked. And I get it. Each platter, right? You got the thing on the side, whatever. The SRT 1000 is the same kind of setup, same like you could say it's a very comparable controller, but it's symmetrical, okay? They're just it's still just a little bit to the left, and it's a little busy. I got to try it first, you know, before I say it's super, super busy, right? Because, like, I don't know, it might be different in person. But it's tough because with a 4-channel mixer, you know, there's a lot going on. And they put the paddle effects and everything in the center, which takes up a lot of space. Whereas, like, you know, a regular 4-channel mixer, any of the 4-channel mixers I've ever used, like a 900, has a 900 setup. So all the effects are to the right, which, like, I hate that effect setup. Don't get me wrong. But like that like makes it where all the rest of the channels are super like the same, you know, like very like repetitive. So it's easier to kind of navigate rather than like this is like there's a lot going on in the center. But that's a personal opinion. We got to, you know, once I try it, maybe I'll try it and see it in real life and be like, actually, this isn't too bad at all. I can easily navigate this thing, you know, but it's just like a first kind of thing. What I want to do is let's compare this to two different mixers. Okay. I want to compare this new Rain 4. The first thing I want to do is I want to compare this to the Rev 7. These two comparisons are going to be relevant depending on what price this comes out to be, okay? It's definitely, you could say that the Rev 7 came out after the Rain 1, so the Rev 7 was the competition to the Rain 1. And then you can also say that this came out not to like compete with the Rev 7 necessarily, but to compete with the SRT 1000 because that was like, you know, the Rain only has two controllers, this and the other one. So like, you know, this was Rain's answer to the SRT 1000 possibly, right? Because that's more apples to apples. But I'm going to compare it to both the Rev 7 and the SRT 1000 because it depends on the price. If this ends up being $1,900, $2,000, we got to compare it to the Rev 7 because that's the price bracket it's in. The SRT 1000 is $1,400. And I also can't stress enough, like you got, if this thing ends up being $1,900, $2,000, and you know damn well Pioneer's about to drop some shit. You know what I mean? Like, there's no way Pioneer's not going to come out with, like, some STEM shit. There's no way. Like, of course they are. They'd be ridiculous. They'd be so dumb not to. So, like, you're just opening it up for them to come out with a controller for $1,600 that does more than this, and you're going to get crushed. I'm telling you, do not price this thing at $1,902 grand. Do not. $1,699, okay? It's well built. It's a good controller. I'm sure it sounds fantastic. $1,699, trust me. You're going to shoot yourselves in the foot, okay? Someone tell the nerds. But anyway, let's compare this first. Let's compare this first Reign 4 controller. No, I want to do it for the YouTubes. Let's compare this brand new Reign 4 controller to the Rev 7, shall we? So, first, the size comparison. Reign is clocking in around 30.8 inches. The Rev 7 is 28.8 inches, so 2 inches wider, which is not that much, honestly. It's actually not too much bigger. I heard it was huge, and, like, I don't think it's that. From the specs, it's not that big, right? And then as far as lengthwise, 0.9 inches longer. That's it. It doesn't seem like a lot. It's kind of crazy because, like, think about it. The platters on the Rev 7 all encompassing, it's probably like 8.1 inches. They say 7-inch platters, 7-inch of working space, but like the whole thing is like 8.1 inches. These are apparently 8.5 inches, so they're slightly bigger platters. Plus, you're adding 2 more channels to it, but it's only 2 inches longer, you know what I mean, or wider or whatever. So, like, that's kind of crazy. And then the weight-wise, your difference about 5 pounds, a little over 5 pounds, and that's like without the motors and stuff. A little heavier than I thought it was going to be, but lighter than, you know, something with motors. So, you know, still 18 pounds is better than 23, so it's 5 pounds less, okay? And if you compare the two, you know, again, you could just see how, like, much more busy the one is than the other, you know? Again, it's 2 different controllers, 4-channel, 2-channel. I get all that. But, like, this is kind of where I get to my conclusion that, like, I feel like I'm going to be, the Reign 1 was crazy busy, insanely busy. I couldn't, like, I was, my pinky was hitting the center thing of the platter when I was trying to cut on it. I'm hitting the wrong buttons in the center with the mixer portion, right? Like, you can see, like, look at the mixer portion of the 4 and look at the mixer portion of the Rev 7, right? And these are actual sizes, by the way. This is literally, like, the Rev 7's mixer portion is that much wider than the Reign 4's mixer portion. But the Reign 4 has 4 channels. And that's where I think that, like, in my opinion, they could have made it a lot bigger. You would have had a lot more room to work. And, you know, like, why not? Like, just make it, if you want to be a big flagship, make that shit, like, SZ size. You know what I mean? Like, make a monster. You know, another thing, too, would have been crazy. If they had, like, 8.5, or if they branded, or if they actually came out. Remember back in the day, I was talking about, like, a Rev 10, you know, and Pioneer got mad at me? What if they came out with a Rev 10? What if they came out with, like, 10-inch motorized platters? Like, that would have, like, it would have been the biggest controller ever, but I guarantee you every DJ would have bought that shit and just, like, wore that shit. They would have wore it around their neck like a necklace. It would have been the biggest flex ever. Like, yeah, I got the Reign, I got the Reign 10-9 or whatever. Like, the big-ass 10-inch motorized platters. Ugh. Like, I don't know. I'm just so indifferent about, like, the static platters. But anyway, so you could kind of see, like, you know, busy-wise, everything. And then if you look at the platter, though, you can see where the real estate went. So the platter real estate, way smaller on the Rev 7, right? And then on the Reign 4, obviously you can see, you know, you have the pads, all the stuff going on. So, like, you know, but I like the setup of the platter. I think it's a great setup. I think, like, everything makes sense. It's all symmetrical. Everything's pretty much in, like, the right place, in my opinion. Like, I think I like this setup. I just don't like the mixer part in the middle as far as, like, being busy. But again, not apples to apples controller, apples to apples potential price. Okay. And I'm also going by, again, the only thing I heard about price was it's going to be under $2 grand. So if it's going to be a $1,600 controller, usually not going to say under $2 grand. That's not what you're going to say, you know, but whatever. We shall see what it ends up being priced out. We all saw, like, the Denon, they dropped that price $300 4 days after launch. So I think they're not trying to do that again, right? But let's compare the SRT, because this is literally direct of what it's competing with, in my opinion. So 30.8 inches, 27.87, so about 3 inches wider than the SRT, and then a little over an inch and a half-ish longer depth or whatever than the SRT. Weight-wise, though, was interesting. It's 5 pounds heavier than the SRT. 5 pounds heavier. And that's what I mean about, I thought, you know, it was going to be a little lighter than it was. Because I went and looked. I'm like, man, I don't remember like the SRT being 18 pounds. Yeah, it's only 13 pounds. Now, you can blame that on the robust construction, right? I'm sure Rain makes tanks of mixers. You can use those as like, you could drop those bitches in Ukraine. Use them as weapons. So, they're well made. So, you can blame there's extra metal in the construction, yada, yada, yada. I get that. Obviously, their platters are metal with the stupid stroboscopic dots for no reason. So that probably added a little weight. But 5 pounds, whatever, go to the gym. It's no big deal. Now let's look at the mixer sections. Now this is where you can kind of see like a more comparable comparison. Cause I also think the SRT 1000 is a busy mixer, very busy. The only thing that makes it like slightly easier to navigate as far as like just mixing, not with effects. Cause like, I don't like the setup of 900 effects, but like as far as navigating, do you see how like the Pioneer mixer is kind of like, it's all symmetrical, right? Like every line has the exact same knobs repeated, right? Like straight through, exact same knobs repeated. Your EQs, your trims, your high pass filter, your filter knob or whatever, your Q, the volume knob, the crossfader switch, all in a row, right there, row, row, row. And they're able to do that because the effects are to the side. So to the right, that whole thing to the right, starting with the blue button in the bottom right-hand corner all the way up, that's all effects, and that's all they do. Whereas like the Rain 4 have the paddle shifters, they have like literally effects select knobs, like all this stuff going on in the middle. So they're not able to make it like kind of symmetrical like that. So like I said, both are very busy, but you can also argue, look at the volume faders, they have so much more room for the volume faders, which is like, that was a huge thing with the SRT, like the volume faders are way too close together. If you got fat fingers like me, you can definitely like, bleed a song or something like that, or like hit the wrong thing. So, I think if we're looking at these two, Rain 4 beats them. I think it looks better too. I don't like the look of that whole, I like the Rain look actually better now when you look at it both. So, and then if you look at the platter, very, 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 very similar in my opinion. Overall, other than the dots, and then other than all the stem controls, so you got all the stem controls built in. So it's like, it's kind of like an upgraded version, really like, so overall, This is an SRT 1000 killer. This is what this controller is. Straight up, right? Like straight up, this is an SRT 1000 killer. And that's what I'm assuming they're doing, right? Rev 7 was answering to the Rain 1. So Rain's not in a hurry to make another motorized platter controller, I guess. They're just like, no, well, we're going to answer this SRT 1000, but they probably waited a little bit because they heard the stems are coming out. So like, listen, we'll really answer for it because we're going to have a full stem integration, everything. Fantastic idea overall. 100%. You know what I mean? Being the first of all, the stems integrations, the all the different stem like features they have, very, very smart stuff. Really, really cool. So like it's a home run all day versus the SRT 1000, depending on price. It's all about the price. $1,600, $1,700. This controller is going to do very, very well. And even though like the SRT is $1,400 or whatever, you can't get them right now. So you can tax people a little bit because people are like, there's a lot of people that are trying to get a Rev 7 or trying to get a, SRT. They can't get them. So minus, but the Rain's available. Bam. You can get $1,600, $1,700 all day and it'll be a successful controller. Okay. Clearly an upgraded, much upgraded version of the SRT 1000 all day. Okay. But if they price it at $1,900, $2,000, they're going to price themselves right out of the market. They're going to be comparing. Now you're at the level of a Rev 7. And in my opinion, it's not the same controller. It's told yada, yada. It's different. It's not battle style. It's 4 channels. It has non-moving platters. But in my opinion, if you're going to spend $2,000 for a controller, why wouldn't you get the Rev 7? Why? Why wouldn't you? It's so much better in every other way. So much better in every other way. And they're also opening them up for other companies because obviously other companies are going to, come out with all the stem stuff. That's coming. So, like, they got to be able to compete with whatever products, the other companies are answering with, which I guess they only have to, what do they got to worry about? Pioneer? Because they own Denon and Newmark and all that. Who don't they own other than that? Reloop. And Reloop's another one. Reloop's going to come out with a ball-sized controller, I'm sure. If you got any leaks, let me know. But it all comes down to price, people. And that's what it comes down to. So time will tell. They don't want to get this right. So they are essentially waiting to announce the price. They're doing some more market research, and we shall see. Rain, you now know my 2 cents on it as far as price. So need any other help, let me know. But anyway, overall though, well, good done, good job. Okay, shouts to Rain. Can we give him? We'll give him a round of applause. I think it's a solid control overall. Though. Solid control overall. Well done, well done. Very exciting addition to the DJ worlds. That was a lot. Anyway, let's talk music, people. Okay, let's talk music. We talked about all the hardware. Let's talk music. Now, before we get into a couple songs, holy shit, who the fuck is spamming? If you're listening on the podcast, I'm sorry. I don't give shout outs. I'm not gonna say that acronym. I don't give shout outs like that, especially when asked. And this is a podcast, so I can't be like shouting things out. It's irrelevant. See, like right now, people are turning off me on Apple Podcasts. This dude's talking to his chat again. Fuck this. Anyway, let's talk about music, okay? Before we go into a couple songs and stuff, I want to give you guys. I was thinking about it because it came up at a wedding, and I never talked about this before, and I think it's very important. I don't know. This is one of my philosophies, and I'll share it with you guys. You let me know if you do this or if you, if you agree with it or whatever, or maybe you want to start doing it after this. I don't know. It's just one of my philosophies. I have a very big rule when it comes to music, as far as like what I play without being requested, right? There's like a list of songs that I don't touch unless they're specifically requested. And it's kind of like me playing it safe. You know what I mean? Like, that's why I don't touch them. I like to play it safe. I just like to play it safe, just in case. And those are songs with names. I never, ever, ever play songs with names. Just in case, okay? I don't play Valerie, Sweet Caroline, Stacy's mom, Jolene, Gloria, Cecilia. I don't play that stuff unless it's requested, okay? I'm not going to play Come On Eileen in case the groom used to come on Eileen. You know what I mean? I'm not going to play like Eleanor Rigby unless the groom used to be into grandmas. I don't know what he used to, like, you know what I mean? You can never be too safe. You can never be too safe. And if you think I'm tripping, if you've done weddings long enough, there's no way you haven't gotten a request from a couple literally saying like, don't play this song. It's like, hey, specifically, like, why don't you want to play like Sweet Caroline? Like, are you guys like Yankees fans? You know what I mean? Like, are you guys like, or do you just hate Neil Diamond? Should I stay away from Neil Diamond altogether? Right? And then it's, well, no, his ex-girlfriend's name was Caroline. I hated that bitch. So, you know what I mean? Like, this happens. It's come up before. And that's where I kind of got it from. I'm like, you know what? I'm not risking it for the biscuit no more. I'm just not doing it. Any names, that's it. And you could say, oh, Nick, you're being sexist. What about the song with the guy's name? Do you still play Jeremy by Pearl Jam? And yes, I do. Okay, I don't care about the guys' names because guys don't give a shit. Guys generally don't give a shit. All right, guys aren't gonna. Oh my God, that song said that name of this dude that my girl used to date. Guys don't do that. All right, and the few that do, then you just, if you're getting your panties in a bunch over that, you just. Grow a pair, my guy. All right. Oh, sorry, man. I won't do it again. Now I know your ex-girlfriend's name was, or whatever. You know what I mean? Like, guys don't give a shit. Ex-boyfriend's name, that is. Only applies to girls. But I stay away from songs like this. Let me know if you do in the comments. Just like my little rule. Just want to like throw it out there for you guys. But anyway, let's go into music. So, I want to give you guys, we're getting to the end of the year here. I'm going to give you guys 5 songs that came out in the last year. Or in the last 18 months, maybe one of them, like we're just at the tail end of last year. But regardless, I want to give you guys 5 songs that came in the last year that I play on the regular, that work every single time. So I want to do this. These are proven songs. I think you should definitely add these to your crates. I know, like, especially if you do weddings and stuff, it's tougher to play newer music because you're dealing with a very mixed crowd and, like, they're not always super dialed in. These are tried and true songs that you can add to your crates, freshen up your sets. They're a little obvious, but still, like, I want to make sure we as wedding DJs, you got to evolve. You got to keep playing, at least play some of the new stuff. Trust me. All right. So I want to throw this out there for you guys, help you out. Let me know if they work in your market, but like I've literally used each of these almost every wedding for the last like 6 months, and they've hit every time. So like I can confidently tell you guys this. No bullshit. The first is I'm Good, David Guetta, and is it Bebe? I don't even know how to say her name. So it's off that I'm Blue, I'm a diva. It's hard. It's a hard drop. I always I'll mix it in and then I drop it on the you know what I mean? Like I literally drop it at that part. And it always gets a reaction, always gets a woo, get a new woo from it every time. Highly recommend dropping that. 128 EDM type track. Add it to your list, 100%. Cuff It by Beyonce. I meant to put Cuff It underneath it. It's a song called Cuff It. It actually mixes perfectly with my next song. And I usually play those in combination. It's like it's a No Man's Land BPM song. It's like in the 115 range, right? Like 115-ish, like No Man's Land, as they call it. A lot of us, if you look at like all the songs you play, chances are like, the least amount of songs, the genre or the BPM you play least is usually in between the 110, 120, like right in that range. Unless you're like really into Kate Renata. But so Cuff It, and then what goes with that is About Damn Time as well. And I have a wordplay I do with it. It's like literally the same kind of vibe. It's almost like Cuff It was like written after this to kind of like compete with it for some reason, I guess. I don't know. But it works every time. It's a perfect way to bridge my sets when I'm going from like hip hop, like the 100s, getting into 105s ish. I use that. This is one of the mixes I use to bridge it to get into like the 120s and go up like higher. So highly recommend it. Next is just fucking kidding. Next is Super Freaky Girl. Hit. The moms and the aunties will dance to this. Everybody dances to this. It's a damn hit, okay? Damn hit. Throw it in the sets. Clean, obviously, all right, because it's, it's a little raunchy, but the clean version is not that bad. It's not as bad as Wet and Gushy, okay? And it's a hit. I'm telling you, all the females love it. It's right in my female folder, and the older people seem to vibe to it too. So I've been playing this every wedding. And then the last but not least, probably the most obvious of them all, but not necessarily the wedding DJs, okay? Because it's crazy. I'll explain that now. Is Bad Bunny, right? Titi me pregunto. Did I say it right? Titi me pregunto. Titi me pregunto. Titi me pregunto. There's other hits on this too, but like generally speaking, the Titi song is the shit. It works with all white people. I'll play it at an all white wedding. It'll still work. It's a little tricky. Remember, it goes from like 103 to 111 to 103. So I usually mix it in at 103. It brings me to 111, and then I mix out at 111. It's another way to kind of bridge to go up, higher in BPM. But it's a hit. Rocks every time. If you're a club DJ watching this, you're probably like, dude, it's the most obvious shit ever. Trust me. I'm just saying, I'm putting it out there because I'm sure there's a lot of wedding DJs that sleep on this song and don't play it. And I want to make sure you don't. Trust me. It will go off every single time. It's funny. There's t-shirts about it. There's literally like, it's like a whole meme about like, can you play Bad Bunny? Can you play Bad Bunny? Can you play Bad Bunny? Yada, yada, yada. It's like the number one request every DJ gets the last 2 years. Except for wedding DJs. Like, I mean, at least me. I've only gotten like 2 Bad Bunny requests in my life. And like, both were at like 2 at weddings, that is. I mean, when I'm at a club, I always get it. But like, yeah, like literally 2. Nobody requests Bad Bunny at a wedding. Because, like, it's different. It's a wedding. You know what I mean? Like, it's not like, even if they want to hear Bad Bunny, a lot of times, especially, I'm talking about, like, super white weddings, a lot of times, even if they want to hear Bad Bunny, they're going to feel weird about requesting it because, like, they think, like, it's probably not going to work for everybody, but it fucking will, So, like, I think, like, Bad Bunny is one of those things that a lot of us wedding DJs can sleep on because we're not really getting the request for it, and maybe we're not doing as many clubs or any clubs at all, or not going out, so you don't really see like how much effect like this album has had on like the world. So I just want to remind you, put this in your crates, try it this weekend. Trust me, okay? Have a game plan. Figure out how you want to mix in, how you want to mix out. All right, don't just play it raw dog and not know where you're going. Okay, and also keep in mind it goes from 103 to 111, so you gotta like. You know what I mean? You got to set the BPM here, that 103 to mix it or 111 to mix out. So it's a little tricky in that aspect. Beyond that, though, try it out. You will see. You will thank me later, people. But that'll be it. That'll be it today. Fun show. I'm here every week at noon. We're in the off-season, people. So much fun coming up. Definitely got some guests coming up as well. I'll be announcing, so definitely follow me on Instagram at DJ Nick Spinelli and all that stuff for information on like who's coming and whatnot. And also, I really got to fix these graphics. Look at this. It blue screens me every time I go on there. Unbelievable. Anyway, follow me on the Instagrams to keep updated with everything. And also, I'll be streaming on Twitch tonight, and it's going to be my first time using Stems Live. And I am very, very excited. I'm going to be able to extract some very needed acapellas and instrumentals that I've never had the access to before in my life. And I'm going to be playing with this bad boy all day. And so definitely join me at Twitch tonight. at 9:30 p.m., twitch.tv/Nick Spinelli. Should be a grand old time for that. And as always, I appreciate you all for joining me. I'll see you next week at 12. See you tonight at 9:30 for Twitch. Crush your events this weekend. And overall, just have a great week. Love you all. Thank you, guys. Bye.